FIBREE Talks. Today, I have with me Emanuel Bueve. Emanuel would run us through a simple presentation, which is titled The French Mistake, How is the Real Estate Situation Killing Us? Emanuel, how are you?
Oh, I'm fine, thank you.
I will leave the floor to you. If you would like to start by introducing yourself and then take us through the subject, we would be thankful.
Sure. So, hello and welcome. My name is Emanuel Bueve. Reaching the interesting area of tokenization and blockchain since a few years, I had think a lot about all this situation, and it's all about tokenization and why this technology had to be accepted from a large majority of the population. Let me explain it to you. Today we are facing social crisis. For the one who know about it, about the Gilets jaunes, so-called yellow vest protestation movement, starting in 2018, this part will be much deeper and violent. Inflation, the consequence of the economic sanction against Russia, a high unemployment rate, we consider in France that 8% is a great bottom, a change of habit due to pandemic, all these factors who put our society under pressure and reveal her weak points. But the reason for this is, the original sin of our system to be so weak and fragile for external factors. The reason is a free chosen system that we have decided and constantly applied for decades. What had all those to do with real estate? Or tokenization of real estate. Don't worry, it's the right channel. No need to close this video stream, we'll soon discuss about it. But most of the people I meet, even the one in this field, just don't realize that tokenization is not just a fancy option to make business or to be a little bit more stable or to have some NFT you can sell just for laundering a little bit illegal money. No, it is essential, it is crucial. It's a tool for facing the massive challenge who come direct on us. If we today don't generalize the use of token in our society, we will keep too vulnerable to have a chance to resist to what happens next. Let me explain this, just taking a larger point of view. The French territories as well reorganized after World War II according to the ideology of efficiency that was in fact necessary at this moment. The landscape was split into sectors, some for housing, others for working, and some for shopping. Leisure had at this early stage no place. And all this various area was linked with road, and the citizen was supposed to use a car to move from the one to the others. Looking back, we ask how they can have done this. But you need to consider that in the year 1930, for example, Le Corbusier, many of you perhaps know about this person, he had a vision for Paris, and he wanted to raise the city, the north of Paris, and by north I mean considering from the Seine river, so the historical part, and just set up there 18 skyscrapers, 60 floor tall, with 120 meters wide street to connect this. So considering this solution, just putting a little bit concrete on fields and forests is something really inoffensive. The second idea who fueled our problem is especially the lack of fuel. We build nuclear plants, a lot of them, and provide for decades a relative cheap energy, electrical energy. So houses were built in the assumption that it will always came constant and cheap out of the wall box. So why should they had waste time and money to insulate a roof if you just can plug one or two radiators when it became cooler? Oh, and then we use also this great material, asbestos, a really good stuff. As a researcher of all this time, we had now a certain amount, 10%, and in Paris it is more than 25% of buildings who are no longer suitable for renting. Yeah. At the 1st of January 23, you were not allowed to rent this building. So the so-called passoires thermiques, literally thermal calendars, are the one where energy consumption is over 450 kilowatt hour per square meter per year. Just to give you an orientation, we are approximately today by 50. This will need a colossal budget to bring this to an acceptable standard, not taking notice of the staff shortage by contractors. So the outcome are clear and still largely described in public media. At least if you, I mean, at least you can find it. The percentage of the population who still now had difficulty to pay a rent is increasing dramatically. When gas, oil, and electricity will reach unknown levels this winter, then we will have the reaction. So, what have we now? A pool of old buildings, mostly in the city centers, built after the war with out-of-date rules, and plenty of individual flats in the suburbs who literally don't pay a penny worth. Where will the people live? You can exist without having a token or cryptocurrency, but without an apartment or house, it's a little bit more uncomfortable. Coming back to our tokenization solution. Why did I talk about this? It's quite easy. We need to take back the control about our housing. And it will not the state will be able to do this. It will not the bank who will do it because they don't have enough profit for it. So who reminds? It's easy. It's like every time the citizen had to solve it. The technical and philosophical possibilities of the blockchain could give us the opportunity to refurbish our housing potential and even more to improve it in an ecological way. Why? Because we could use direct democracy to solve our local problem and rebuild a financial systems without bank or the necessity of a regulator. This is up to you, up to us. We can change it, we can do it, we just need to decide it. Basically finished for this part.
Perfect. I believe very interesting and intriguing stuff you've said. So let me take highlights here. 25% of all properties in Paris are non-rentable.
Yeah. It is really, I start looking at it because for doing this project of tokenization, I start research about the legal shape and rules, and we had this energy consumption factors. So when you are renting an apartment, you need to provide to be in a certain category, okay? And they are just increasing considerably this levels, and nobody knows. Nobody had started to solve this.
This is scary.
You can buy for your own an apartment, and then it doesn't matter which energy consumption level it had. But if you want to rent it, then you need at the 1st of January, you need to be in a higher category, no longer in this
Have you looked
very
at
bad.
what the implications would be? Have you studied what the implications would be on property market?
Yeah, nobody knows because it is too huge.
Okay.
So basically, the people just close their eyes to it. Even the people in the real market, in the real estate market, just saying, okay, it's no longer our problem. We just sell it. But the rental situation in Paris will be catastrophic.
25% is a big number, yeah. And in a city like Paris, it's a huge.
Yeah. And even because the rent is also expensive. I mean, it's so what are the consequences? We don't know. We really don't know.
Wow. Isn't there any studies from the government to look at the repercussions of such rules? And at the end of the day, it's not like we disagree with the rule to make everything more eco-friendly and to make everything more standardized. However, the idea of ending up in a situation in a metropolitan city like Paris, where you have 25% of the current anyway squeezed market, I would say. Yeah, I was there probably 4 weeks ago, 3 weeks ago, and it's a squeezed, jammed city because it's full of its residents as well as tourists. So would that suffocate the market? What would that do? There's no studies to suggest that, yeah, or to look at that.
I strongly assume that they had some,
okay.
But I made research and don't find something.
Wow.
You need to not public. You know, that is the point. I mean, definitely our government had some.
Okay.
But we had some elections, you know, and so basically they say, okay, it's not my problem. The next one will solve it. I don't know how we do it because as now they focus on oil and gas price. They increase the help for people from 100 to 150 euro, and I mean they just for the moment the question is, did we have gas this winter? How can people have heating this winter? And how can we now have water now? So what will be the situation in January 23? For them, it is so far away that they don't realize it, or they don't maybe have the energy to solve it, because they know, okay, we need to step back, we need to go back and assume that what we have decided is not possible. Maybe they will do this, but they can't just cancel 25% of the housing market in Paris. It's not possible. And even in other cities, I mean, in generally, in France, it is 10%. So keep away 10% of the housing. We have 4 million people who don't have a stable housing in France. We have 1 million people who don't have any housing. I don't talk about...
What do you mean they don't have any housing? Homeless?
Homeless.
Yeah. Are you serious? 1 million people in France?
1 million people in France.
Wow.
I'm not talking about Eritrea or some African country which had difficulties or who is in war situation. No, it's France.
Okay.
And we ran on this since 20 years. Without wanted to notice it.
Okay. So let's look at the solution. Let's say how can blockchain or tokenization specifically help the situation in your view? Because at the end of the day, we were yesterday talking about the ESG and the European Union looking at the environmental side, the sustainability side, and the governance side of every project. So that's all cool and good. You have also a social side, which is a very important part of that. Yet all of those need solutions. So a problem like that needs a solution, and obviously plenty of solutions would be on the table. How do you see blockchain in real estate? Tokenization, for example, can complement other solutions or can stand as a solution?
I see it basically as a tool for a new society or for an evolution of the society, but by redistributing the rules. Because now you had a very centralized system, and the main problem for real estate, okay, there are two problems, but on the one hand, you don't have building permits because the political situation made it non-sustainable for a mayor to allow new constructions. And on the other hand, you had some restrictions for credit, and also the government just raised the levels to make it possible to receive a credit from a bank. So we need just to bypass these two bottlenecks, and we just need to take back the control on what should be built and about our money, because we don't need institution between us. We don't need basically a bank who had to decide if I can give a credit to this one or this one, because at the end of the day, what are they doing? Nothing. It's just managing our money. So if we take back this kind of power and say, okay, through blockchain technology, we just had the direct link between people who have some cash, some money, and people who need it. This is for me the solution. Because we won't just continue feeding the system without having the advantage of it. Because the system is not able to evolve enough to adapt to the actual situation.
So are you saying, Emmanuel, that you need tokenization so that you democratize the access to cash, as well as democratize how people reach it and make it more efficient? But also you're mentioning here getting back the decision or control over what is built and where. So are you talking about a DAO system here?
Yeah, it is basically for me a question of the implication of people, because when you look back on the evolution of the poor, you see, okay, in the 60 or since the 60, the tendency is going down. So more and more people just consider, okay, going to choose a leader is no longer interesting or important, and until the moment where the population will lead a revolution. I mean, we had some influence, and it is in our mentality to protest and to contest, and we see the seeds of this, or I see it, and it's the only way to get the implication of the citizen is to give them the power to do something. And today it is too much limited, because when you are elected someone, it doesn't bring something changing in your life. So you need to go to a local level and give the possibility through a blockchain voting system to have something you can shape, to have a direct implication of a citizen in a local area, in his city, in his suburb, in the place he lives, and giving him the possibility to engage himself in this process. So the blockchain is a perfect tool for it. It is not the
Don't you
solution.
feel it's a dangerous social experiment? Now, yeah, we will not know until we try it. But don't you feel that it scares me, at least as a theory. It's exciting as a theory. Yeah, it's cool to say people have the power to decide where they live and how they live, and we believe in the collective opinion. But we also know that collective opinion many times does not generate something that's positive to the community. So do you believe it's a danger? Does it scare you? Because you have this theory, you have this idea, it means you've thought about it, you've visualized how will it span out. Does it scare you or no, it doesn't?
I mean, any change had some risk, definitely. And I will be more happier if we can continue doing the system we had actually. But the problem is, it is not in my hand.
Okay.
And at the moment where a large amount of people will have just problem for eating, then we don't have any other solution. You know? And what is the reaction of people when they are hungry? I mean, really hungry. Nothing to eat for 2, 3, 4 days. What will happen then? So it is not a question if I find it interesting or risky. It is a question, what had we for other solution? Continuing on the trend we had now is definitely the worst situation we can admit, because doing nothing, we will just reach a point where people go out and start robbing, murdering, just to feed their family. What are you doing when you have 3 kids at home and nothing to eat?
Is that really the situation in countries like France?
Not yet.
Okay.
But I see the trend.
Okay.
And of course, I mean, the government is aware about this. This is the reason why they distribute money. Did you think really a government will just send money, cash, to citizens like this? The situation is dramatic, and the problem is they don't have the tools to solve it, because we are linked to a globally political system, and I don't think this can go well very long, because when you see we have a 2-week. I mean, democracy is great, but in competition with other systems, we lose. Definitely.
You know what, Emanuel? This session turned out to be much more intriguing than I even imagined or suspected. It's good that we have many other sessions coming up with Emanuel. And by the way, guys, we'll have French sessions as well as English sessions, so that we can talk to every audience. And every subject we've opened now probably can be the base of a project, of a workshop, because what you've said over this session is so intriguing. Part of it is scary. The only thing I hope is that peace, and by peace I mean social peace here, is dominant and continues to be dominant, because I would say, I've said it before, I believe peace is a luxury that is only granted to those who respect it and who admire it above all things, because I believe social peace is very essential to our kids and to how we live and how do we progress and prosper, and how are we happy or not. Do you have anything else to tell our audience? And I'm sure that whoever sees this will think about it for the rest of the day. So do you have anything else to tell our audience before we close this session? And hopefully they can see us in other sessions afterwards.
Yeah, it's not the end of the world. It's just a change, and any change had also some positive side. So it is just up to us. It's not so dramatical maybe as I explained. I just want the people to react to this and to start thinking about it.
You scared me, man.
Really, yeah.
When I was in Nice or in Paris this year, and you're talking, and I'm trying to imagine, visualize what could be happening in the streets I was on, and it's scary. So, yes, you're right.
Yeah.
It's important that people act, and probably we need advocates for change at all times. People who are pioneers, who are not scared to say, this is a problem that may come, and we need to start looking at solutions now rather than putting our heads in the sand. So people like you pioneer ideas which may be scary today to someone like me looking at it. However, may be the base of the solution for tomorrow, for a better tomorrow. So thank you so much for your ideas. Thank you so much for this session of FIBREE Talks. I'm sure it's been very intriguing. Until next time. Thank you all.
See you soon.
For being with us, guys. And wait for another session of FIBREE Talks. Have a pleasant day.